Amud Alf. Halacha Yud Beis. Mishabala Sanhedrin, once the Sanhedrin went out of existence, but Asher Beis Mishtos, they no longer could sing songs in not that late. You say they're going to be late.
Early by my standards.
Yeah.
Got out of my meeting earlier.
It's really hot in here. Okay, Mishabah Sanhedrin, once the Sanhedrin was cancelled, from Hammer off the Mishnah. But Ashiri Beis Mishtos, so people stopped singing or people are supposed to stop singing in bars, in alcoholic parties. Shneimar, Bashir lo yushtu yain, in song they should not drink wine. Abba Baba.
In truth,
Yeah.
I remember somewhere in Gittin, must be down Botman Bays, Zion Bays, something to the effect that there is an Isser.
Zion Renal.
Zion Renal?
Yeah.
About singing songs in a bar.
Yeah, this is it.
They quote this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Say more. Abba Yirmi Amar, Abba Yirmi Amar, Keni Mishar Shavasu. The elders ceased from their gates, and it says Bachurim in Ginosim. Therefore, the young ones had to stop their song. Rav Chisda said, and this is not in the Bible here, and I think some of it is in the Bible. You get in there, which you refer to. I'm not sure how much, but anyway, Rav Chisda. Initially, they were afraid of the Sanhedrin. They wouldn't say lewd things in their song. But now, that the fear of the Sanhedrin is not upon them. The songs are lewd, and therefore one may not sing beer drinking songs anymore. Okay? Now, interesting digression here. When there was the Sanhedrin, when the Sanhedrin basically take retribution for a person who did wrong, and that's it, not from anybody else. But now, the Ephraim from Shamayim, now the punishment also goes against the family of the individual. Because now the family is responsible for repudiating him and making sure that he's not covered up, and therefore the family which covers up is all responsible. When there's a basis, so they would ferret out the wrongdoer. But now it's up to the family, and invariably the families don't do it, and therefore they're punished as a result.
This is the basis for tzahal in dealing with some of the areas. Blow up the buildings, the houses. Say, hey,
except we're talking about Jews.
I understand.
But same idea. Okay. So it says the Gemara, originally, Barishoina went back to the topic when there was a Sanhedrin. Anytime something bad happened to the congregation and they were saved, they would make a simcha in order to celebrate this is the Yeshua, and they would sing at the simcha, right? Mishabala Sanhedrin, once the Sanhedrin stopped, so people had to stop singing in the bars. And then they also stopped gradually. The Gemara will discuss it a little bit more detail. All those simchas which we had on the minor redemptions. Once both of these stopped, the Sanhedrin and the Sanhedrin with the song and the minor simchas which are enumerated in Megillas Taanis, Shavas Mesais Libeinu, the joy of our heart ceased. Our dances turned to mourning. Now, going back to the guy who was punished, whose family was punished because he sinned. What could the Sanhedrin do when there was a Sanhedrin? Because it says, if the nation of the land will close their eyes from that individual, when he gives his children over to the Avodah Zarah called Molech, the Vilti not to kill him, B'chol Misa Sheyirtzu, which is in all. This is a strange comment. B'chol shiur is like an editorial comment. And it says, Vilti Amiso, so in the Chumash it means you can kill them any way you want. In other words, in Moevid Avodah Zarah, you kill with any of the Arba Mitzvahs based on whichever one you can give him. But the point of this pasuk is the end of the pasuk. It says that if the Sanhedrin doesn't do that, so then it says at the end of the pasuk, "V'nasatis panai ba'ish ha'uva mishpachto." I'm going to turn to that guy and I'm going to kill him and his family. So this the pasuk tells us when there's Sanhedrin, they'll make sure to kill the guy. When there's no Sanhedrin, so the family is responsible. And therefore, invariably, the family is punished as well, not just the guy who's responsible for the Avodah Zarah purposes. Okay. Now, getting back to their stopping the Megillas Tainus from being in effect anymore. They drew an analogy to what it was similar. If somebody does something bad in the city, Masl Baal Egmon, first they give him to the Egmon, which is like a mayor or alderman, B'chavshi puts in prison. But Kashi Baal Egmon, if it was too difficult for the Baal Egmon to punish him, the alderman, Muscle Baal Zmar, they give him to the guy in charge of the wood. Now the wood either means that wood to beat him with, or wood which is put into the stocks. Kashi Baal is Mochavsh, he puts him in, and he deals with him. He puts him in prison. If he's too strong for the master of the wood, muscle about so they give him to the master of the strap, or such, and he beats him. If he's more difficult than the Baal HaRitzua, then the master of the strap, muscle shulton they give him to the mayor. They'll come in and he tosses him into the to the furnace, and that's the end of him. So the Am is constantly undergoing new and greater tortures, and therefore it's not appropriate anymore to make all sorts of simchas, because they're constantly being beaten and battered, if not by one, then by the other, and constantly worse. So therefore, there's no point anywhere in having those simchas listed in Megillas Tainus, which is the fact why, of course, the Gemara says we did away with them, because of the great sorts which we have. Misha Mesa and Nevi'im Rishayim. Once the original Nevi'im died, but Urim V'Tumim, they're no longer Urim V'Tumim. You can't ask the questions of the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol anymore. I think that they say the Shem Hashem, which was folded into the Choshen, was put into Gniza. That's when the Urim V'Tumim ceased to exist. Okay, when that Shem Hashem, which did the job, was like the battery pack was taken away. Okay. That was when the Nevi'im Rishayim died. The Gemara is going to say who the Nevi'im Rishayim were. Bishchar Beis Hamikdash, once the Beis Hamikdash destroyed, Batal HaShamir, there's no longer that worm called the Shamir, which breaks stone. The Neifet Sufim, no longer have that delicacy called Neifet Sufim. Upaske Hayan Shemuna, and people who had trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu have stopped to exist. Shemar says, Shia Hashem ki gamar chasid, save us HaKadosh Baruch Hu because there are no more chasidim, ki pasam munim yodim, no longer a trustworthy individuals among human beings. Tomorrow is going to discuss all these things. Mishavesu Nevi'im, Rishayim Paschal Nevi'im V'Tumim. What's the initial Nevi'im? Da'aida no longer are in V'Tumim. Shmuel Bar Nachman Shem Rabbi Yonasan said, Zeh Shmuel V'David. Who Nevi'im Rishayim way back when? After Shmuel David, no one V'Tumim. Rabbi Baba Karam Shem Rabbi Bab said, knows that God V'Nasan, who will of course led somewhat later. Rabbi Yirmiyah Shmuel Ritzav Shem Rav said Zeh Yirmiyahu Baruch. No, went all the way to Yirmiyahu. It was really the end of Bayis Rishon. The Gemara in the Bible says, so who didn't have the Urim V'Tumim? If Yirmiyahu did, so it says Chagais Chaim Malachi. They didn't have Urim V'Tumim. The last Nevi'im, they didn't have Urim V'Tumim, but everybody till then did.
It didn't exist at the Churban Bayis Rishon, did it?
Right. So when the Chagais Chaim Malachi came back, they didn't have it anymore. Right. That's what it means essentially. Yeah. No, the pot was put to Gniza sometime before the Churban of the Beis Hamikdash.
I didn't realize Baruch was deemed to be a no. He's just an assistant to Yirmiyah.
He was an assistant to Yirmiyah. I don't know if he's listening. Maybe it's Lav Dafka. It's a good point. I don't know. Mr. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Amra Zeh Yirmiyahu Baruch. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi's Joshua were about to say sustains this position that they had all the way to the days of Yirmiyahu Baruch. Milsa Rabbi Yeshua Levi said, "Va'ili drosh Elokim." There was to quest for God. Be meiz chayo hamevin in days of chayo who understood b'yas Elokim, who understood the fear of God. So it says, Vayil Yerushalmi, we're assuming is that this is the Urim V'Tumim. Drishas Elokim was by asking V'Tumim. And exists to be made Zchario. In the days of Zchario, and to Charash, the Pneo Korban says here that the Zchario is Uzio. And it seems that Uzio still had the Urim V'Tumim, and Uzio was relatively late, and it must be that it was still after God and Nasan, so therefore, since between God and Nasan and Yirmiyahu and Baruch, there's nothing, so therefore it must have been all the way up to the time of Yirmiyahu and Baruch. Who are the Nevi'im Achroinim? From which time there's no longer is Ruach HaKodesh, Chagei Zchariah Malachi. From their death, Paskum and Ruach HaKodesh, and no longer is Ruach HaKodesh, divine spirit. Alpha PK, nevertheless, Vishtamshu Baskol, they would use a Baskol even after that. Now, a couple of the Maizmir are brought in the Bavli, the first few are not. The first few are Yerushalmi exclusives. Maitzah Shama Shimon Tzadik. So Maitzah Shama Shimon Tzadik, who heard, Baskol Yetzim Beis Kodesh Kodashim, a voice called the Kodesh Kodashim, V'amai said, and the voice said, Ne'arak Gaius Gulikas, the legions of Gulikas, a certain evil king, were killed, and they canceled his decrees. Another time, certain time the young lads went to fight in Antiochia. The time heard a voice called out Kodesh Kodashim. Vomers, it says, Nitzchu Talia, the young men were victorious. Dagachu Krava B'Antiochia, those who made war in Antiochia. Because says in the wrote down the time when they heard the Baskol, Nasu Bozman, and they gave it a specific time. And they found out that in fact at that exact moment was when the warriors were successful in their fight in Antiochia. So basically, saying that Baskol is a way of knowing what's going on without overt nevuah. Okay, it's just a voice. I don't know if overt is the right way. It's the right word. Without actual nevuah. Okay, an actual nevuah is internal. A Baskol is external. A Baskol doesn't give you a vision. A Baskol is just a voice, but that actually gave them ideas as to what was going on. Even though there was something which they couldn't have known actually.
It's also not a nevuah, it's just reporting an event.
Right.
It's not what's going to happen, it's just telling what is happening.
What is happening simultaneously. Good point.
Was Antiochus, that's not Antiochus.
No, it doesn't seem that way. Because Yochanan Kohen Gadol was after the Mice of Hanukkah. It was named after, like Antioch, Ohio. Named after Antiochus as well, I assume. Okay? Yes.
How would anyone want to city Antioch? I don't know.
It's named after Antioch in Syria, which is named after the Antiochus. There are a whole bunch of Antiochus. There's only one of them was an evil one. It was like, Greek some of those stand the Greek names.
How come there's no Darius Ohio?
How do you know that there's no Darius Ohio? Says no further. No, that's not Greek. It's Egyptian. Memphis is in Egypt. Yeah, the old Memphis is not as famous as the new Memphis. Kind of like York and New York. Who knows about York? But anyway, now the next two are the next few are in the Bavli. Says the elders came to Beis Gadio, which is near Yericho. V'yatsa Baskol v'Rama, and a Baskol came out and said, Yesh Beinechem Adam Echad Ra'ui L'Ruach HaKodesh. There's a certain individual among you who's suitable to be a Navi. El She'ein Ador Kedai, your generation is not worthy of it. Nos Einei B'Hillel Zaken, and they looked at Hillel Zaken, and they said he must be the one. Ukshemes, when he died, they said the following high praise as a hesped. Hoy Onav, woe upon this humble person. I think we had parts of this in Moyakadin, if not all of it. Hoy Onav Chosid, a modest person, a pious person, Talmid al-Shaz of the student of Ezra. Shuv Nichnasud came to Aliyah b'Yavna. One another time the elders went into a second floor in Yavna. V'yotza Baskol v'Armleim, and Baskol came out and said that Yesh Beinechem Echad Roy L'Ruach HaKodesh. There's one among you, there's a later generation, the students, who was suitable for a Kodesh, El Shein Ador Kedai, except that the generation is not worthy, unless they have Shmuel Katan. And they look at Shmuel Katan as the person who was the most likely candidate. Why was he called Katan? Because he would diminish himself. He was humble. Some say it was only a little bit smaller than Shmuel the great, Shmuel the prophet of the first of the pre-Beis Hamikdash period, who lived in Ramah. When he died, they said about him, the modest person, a pious person, the student of Hill. So the time of his death, he started outright nevuos. He said, Shimon v. Shmuel, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shmuel, L'charva, they're going to be killed by sword, which of course was their fate. They're the first two that saw Rugen Malchus. B'shar Karmel, the bees and the rest of the nation will be sacked. Vakin Sagini Avion, and many tragedies will befall us. He said this all in Aramaic, so people around them would not know what he said. Now, of course, the Talmidei Chachamim knew what he was saying. That was the time when they were still speaking, however, in Hebrew in Eretz Yisrael, and therefore the people who were the commoners did not understand what he was saying and did not get wind of his nevuos. But he actually was misnabi. This would happen at the time of his death. Okay?
Maybe he should have said it in Hebrew so that people might know what's going to happen to those people.
He probably felt they couldn't do anything about it. It was a prediction, not a warning. It wasn't like the Vim in Bais Rishon will give warnings. It was a prediction.
No one listened to those.
Right, no one listened to them too, right. They also wanted to say, Rahid ben Bava is the one we had in Amud Aleph, had a goat by his bed. When that was the last thing, not in Amud Aleph, yesterday, he had a goat by his bed. When he died actually, Kiddush Hashem. He took 5 came him out in order to give them smicha, and the Romans caught up with him and killed him. Very famous story. So they wanted to give him this fancy hesped, but the hour was too confused, meaning since they were afraid of reprisals from the Romans who killed him, so therefore they couldn't give him this good hesped. Tani and Rabbi, switching gears. There's more or less of the Bavli as well. What's the story with the Shamir? It's a creature from which was created at the beginning of the world. Became true Marius once he would show the Shamir to the stones. He would show it to Shamir. They would crack open the slate, literally, of a book. Like the pages of a book, but here I guess it was a book made out of slates, the slates in which students would write, like little blackboards, so if you cracked it open, so it would fall open, and so to the stone would fall open in front of the Shamir. Built a Beis Hamikdash. Although this seems that which it says, Beis Habayis Bibonaso, the house was built, Evan Shleimor Mason Nivnor, it was built with whole stones which were carried in, Umakavos and hammers, Garzen and saws, V'chol Klipars and all metal tools, Lonish Ba'abayis so were not heard in the Beis Hamikdash while it was being built. Ramichem is much more practical. He argues, he says, they were cut with a knife, but they were not cut with a knife or shaped in Yerushalmi. They did it in the quarry. They didn't do it actually in Yerushalmi. It says, these are all precious stones. Midat gazis in the large measure. Gazis is a large measure. Megura, but they were cut or hewn. Bimgira with a hewing tool. Mibaisum imbachutz, from inside and outside. And more me'ata, this must mean that maybe if Nim lo yasalim we didn't do anything to them in Yerushalayim. And Masakim Yivachutz used to fix them outside, Umachlis Lifnim, and bring them in. There's a stone. I don't know. Have you ever taken the tunnel tour? You taken the tunnel tour? Yeah. The tunnel tour. If you remember, how many times? Aren't you in Israel every Monday and Thursday? You haven't taken the tunnel tour?
It's always closed.
You have to make special arrangements. You kind of Rebbitzin, they say, I didn't take it with her, but they say Rebbitzin Kahana gives a good tour. Not Meir Kahana's wife, the Meir Menuchos' wife. His sister-in-law. The name at, there's one stone there, it's a massive stone. It's like 30 tons. It's a huge, huge stone. They show it to you. And they have no clue how the Shlomo HaMelech actually got it there. I mean, it's like, it sits on the bedrock. And it's huge. So it's not just a small stone, it's like an entire wall. And so obviously their technology was very advanced, much more than we can figure out exactly how they did the things. So in any event, so here it says that they actually did cut the stones, but not cut the stones in Yerushalayim proper. Rabbi they fixed the outside Yerushalayim and then brought it silently into Yerushalayim. And even Rabbi Yehuda, I think Rabbi Yehuda is right that they use the shamir and the houses in the stones of Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi says that they did chop them or hew them in the palace of Shlomo, because there are no restrictions on that. Anyway, be that as it may, Hordus, Herod did not have a shamir anymore. Herod used actually stone cutting implements, and they just cut him outside Yerushalayim. They didn't cut them when they got there. They cut him when they were set to quarry.
What about by Sheni?
Yeah, also same thing, because the shamir with the first base mikdash was cut. It says in wherever Enkel Davi Yochel Lamod Bo, nothing can withstand the shamir. Cuts through everything. I feel also Gabi, even you put it on a stone or toch tasho mateches, or even on a tray of metal, miyada bokeh immediately splits them in substance and goes in. Mayo seems so. Of course, they what they do, they had to. They learned what to do from Superman, right? What do you have to do?
X-ray vision?
No.
Krypton.
Kryptonite. What do you do with Krypton?
It shields.
Where's your Makias?
Kryptonite weakens him.
Yeah, so what do you do in order to protect him from kryptonite? Lead. Oh, very good. So says the Gemara, says the Gemara, what do they do? What they do to stop it from cutting through? They would wrap it in cotton in order that it shouldn't get knocked around. And they put it into a container of lead, mole subin, full of brand, thank you, which I'm not sure either cushioned or impeded it or fed it. It's not clear, but name it, the lead would stop it from getting through. Okay, says the Gemara, although that which it says, "Ma'mavlig showed al us." He takes this showed is some reason a word for small creature. He takes a small creature and makes him overcome the brazen larger creature. And with the shamir is a very small worm, but it obviously is able to cut very strong materials. Also in the basement of destroyed, they lost nofes sufim. What's nofes sufim? Amar Bilezer, Dvash haba b'tzipiyah. Honey which comes in Tzipiyah, there are two versions in the Bible of what that means. One is that Tzipiyah is a place. The other is that Tzipiyah is a language of floating. Why? Because the next line. The fine flour, which when you sift, rests on top of the sieve, doesn't go through. It's not as fine as what goes through. That's really fine. This is not as fine, and this is actually better. The stuff which is too fine goes through. The stuff which is too coarse remains even after you sift the second and third time. We're talking about the middle type of flour, and that's the best. And you take that, and it literally floats on top of the first sieve. And you need it with honey and with milk and with butter, and that's the best food. And they no longer made that after basically was destroyed. I guess they lost the recipe, or it wasn't as good afterwards. Carbonated says because in it is such fine flour. There's a little bit of rye against the briskers, no? Milchik bread. They don't eat milchik cake, right? And here you have actually a milchik cake because it's made with butter. So maybe they fried it and not baked it. I don't know. Maybe that's some shot. Anyway, Rabbi Yerushalmi said, the lousy fruits we ate in our youth are better. We had this back in Peah, it says here. Mipan karasin, from the good fruit, which we ate in our old age, to be yomin nishtani in his days the world turned from diminished in stature, and his youth there was much better fruit than in his old age. Similarly, Seah Arbalis, we have this also in the first paragraph. Seah Arbalis, a measure of arbel grain before in our youth. You can get a measure of fine flour, a measure of coarser flour, say a kibor, a measure of pumpernickel flour, say a morson, a measure of bran, say a subin, bran suba for animals, so a subin, a measure of generic bran. In other words, you're able to get all that out of a measure of this grain. What could do now, this type of grain doesn't even produce one measure of product altogether. Certainly not many different measures of product which have to do with various different grades of flour. Okay, Pasku Anshe Amona, people who have trusted Kodesh Baruch Hu stopped. Rabbi Zir said, Anshe Amona Torah. These are people who no longer are trustworthy enough in God to forsake Olam Hazeh and learn Torah. What kind of people were there once of this sort? This is not mice is not brought down in the Bavli, but the idea is the same there. But the mice is Kadol Chad Rebbe. There was a certain rabbi, Havi Koile Lachor B'Tzor, who was learning with his brother. Says Kriya, it sounds like learning Torah itself. Tersh B'Ksav with his brother in Tyre. And they used to shout after him to go to work. Sounds familiar. Some things never change, right? He said, not going to cancel my time. If I'm supposed to get rich, who the money will come. So it's interesting that they had the battle, the attitudes way back when, in about 1,500 or 1,600 years ago.
Except nowadays they have food stamps.
Yeah, food stamps, right. They didn't have those back then. Now we don't have that big vitachon. Rashin Gamliel, Rashin Gamliel says name of Yeshua. Yom Shchai Beis Hamikdash, when day Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, and Yom Shem Bo closed, no day in which there is no curse. V'lo Yorah Tal Bracha, and the tal does not come down for a blessing. V'nital Tal Peres, and the taste of the fruit is God. Rabbi Yossi Omer Af Nital Shuman Peres, also the fatty quality of the fruits, which I guess it's not the taste, but the moisture of the fruit is gone. The lack of tara took away the present fragrance. Hamaisis, the lack of take away the fat of the grain, its suppleness. And licentiousness and sorcery, kilos are called, they destroy everything. Ksiv, it says, Kel b'kel zoim b'chol yom. Kodesh Baruch gets upset every day. So when there was a Beis Hamikdash, the Korbanos protected us. But now there's no Beis Hamikdash, there's no protection. Rabbi Zir said, Rishonim, not only that, but they constantly make new Gzeres on us, but they don't cancel the old ones. The old ones are still intact. Rishonim, and they put new Gzeres on top of it each and every day. So what can Miyavata Gzeres for us nowadays? So the Bavli says, and the Moshe brings it down, that the world is saved by saying Kedusha, the Nevol Etzion. That's what saves the world. Kedusha is the Sidra. And the Heshmei Rabbah, the Agadata. And when people hear the Kaddish after learning Agadata, they make a Heshmei Rabbah. That's what saves the world. Yerushalmi is different. Rabbi Amishim, Rabbi Achos say Birkas Kohanim Vatos, Birkas Kohanim is what cancels bad things. Could be Tzavav Yerushalmi Shitas, because Yerushalmi, they made Birkas Kohanim every day. So therefore, Birkas Kohanim saves us to a certain extent from the Gzeros Ros. But according to the Bible, you don't make Birkas Kohanim every day. So what saves us every day? The Kedusha and Voltzion and the Kaddish after learning Agadata. Okay? Amar Shimon Gamliel said, Teida L'cha, you should know, I'll prove to you, Shinisarat Klolim, that the dew was cursed. But it showed initially Irsha Tlolem Rubi in cities which had a lot of dew. Berotzem Rubi had a lot of fruit. Now Irsha Tlolem Rubi in a city which has a lot of dew. Perus Muhuti has less fruit. I guess the dew actually impedes the growth nowadays. Also, initially the dew would come down on straw and hay, and they would get whiter. But now it comes out in straw and hay, they get darker. In other words, they get dark and mildewy. So you see that towel itself, which used to be unmitigated good, plus now is bad. We said in the Mishnah that the lack of tara takes away the taste. That's all. And the Mishnah said tam. It just said reich, but here it says it took away both taste and fragrance. Meisrus, when they took off when they stopped giving meiser, so then not those shuman adogan, that took away the moisture, the suppleness of the grain. That is in the Mishnah. We mean to tell you is what's missing more. Rabbi Levi said, it's here from here. They came to par which should have held 20, but only held 10. And then they came to the vineyard, and they expected to find 50 barrels. They only found 20. Ask the Gemara of Chamisha in Ksiv Khan, or notes the Gemara. It doesn't say they only found 25, it says they just found 20. That's a loss of 60%, as opposed to the loss noted by the grain, which is only 50%, right? Chamisha in Ksiv Khan, assume it's only 20. So therefore, the difference is that the Shuman Dogan is only 20% off, is only 50% off, and the what's the story about here? The taste and smell are 60% off. Right, Shuman Dogan, they're only getting half of the yield, and the taste and smell, they're getting a 40% of the yield, 20 instead of 50. Okay. Says, and I don't know why this is repeated here, licentiousness and witchcraft or sorcery, kilusako, finished off everything. Okay, but Pumushas Basianus, when Vespasian came to lay siege against Yerushalayim, they forbade Chasayin to wear crowns, while Irus is a kind of a tambourine. You can't use it anymore, a musical instrument. The Titus, when Titus came, and that destroyed the base of Mikdash, of course, they decided that women shouldn't wear their crowns either. A person could not teach his son Greek. But the last destruction, which was probably that of Bar Kochbo, though I'm not 100% sure about this. The Korbaneda says that the Pulmus Achon means the end of Titus's war against Yerushalayim, as opposed to the beginning. But what? Sometime they made this decree. They decreed that a car should not go out in an apirion, which is like a sedan chair made of all sorts of ornate cloths and raiments. So she couldn't go out in this apirion in the city. Okay, because the base of Mikdash fell, the crown of our head fell down. These are the crowns reigned by Chasanim. Zuzuris Muzavis, and it's the best ones are made out of a shining silk, which is radiant like gold. Above Hashem Rav said, Shalmelch, there are other ones which are not made out of material, but are made out of actual substantial things, made out of salt, Vishal Garfis, and sulfur, and I guess they look very, very brilliant, and they forbade those as well. Rabbi Hashem Rav said, Shalmelach v'shal zayis, even ones of salt. I guess salt and sulfur go together. So he's saying even ones of salt and olive wood, I guess, cannot be worn. Even if it's a plain branches of a tree, you can't wear such a crown nowadays because of the Churban. Rabbi Yirmiyah Shiv Shave, Rabbi Yirmiyah no one knows exactly what Shiv Shave means. Some say Shiv Shave means that Korban means the two perushim. One is that he cut branches. Another is that he was mischievous, like a shovav. Another couple interpretations here. I thought perhaps it means that he wanted to restore the older minhag of Ataros Chasanim. The Gulin Ashah says he took a specific type of tree, which is the tree called Shivsha. There is such a hadas tree called Shivsha. So anyway, he made the Lavash HaTorah and made in Torah. According to Gillian Ashas, they have to take out the word Shozayis, but according to the other interpretations, maybe it was even have olive. Shama Shmuel said Oivei. V'Amar said Nayachle would have been better for him ilu itrus reisha had he chopped off his head. V'Lav Cain and not have done this because of course it goes against Zechel and Mikdash. Needless to say, Shmuel should not have said that. Famous last words. Actually, those are Shmuel, not Shmuel's last words, but they were the last words for Rabbi Yirmiyah. This happened like an accidental statement by the governor, and the way Rabbi Yirmiyah was killed. According to one of them, unfortunately, he was killed by having his head chopped off, because Shmuel said it would have been better for his head to be chopped off than to have transgressed the concept of Zeichel HaMikdash. Okay? Says Matani, we learn, Eloin HaChupas Chasanim, what are the Chupas Chasanim, which are permitted? Stinim Mitsuyorim, no, this is also. Stim Mitsuyorim, adorn the tapestries, Visaronezov, Flimbaim, and there are little moons of gold hanging in them, so it's too ornate. Nevertheless, Tani Avosiu Apiparis, our type of chuppah, which has just 4 poles and something on top, like a canopy, the Talmud called shiur, so that's okay, and then you can put whatever kind of flowers and decorations you want on it. Okay? So long as it's not on all sides. I guess the Chupas Chasanim was on all sides and very ornate, and ours is just on top. What are the Torahs of Kaus which they canceled? Zu'ir Shazav, it's a golden depiction of Yerushalmi. Rabbi Akiva also lishto Ir Shazav, he made for his wife such a jewel. Vikines Ba'it Gamliel's wife was jealous of her. Amar Lord, so Rabbi Akiva said, Rabbi Gamliel said to his wife, Ma bisavdas, would you have done Hechmad Avos Avdus like Rachel, the wife of Rabbi Akiva did? The Avos Mizam Nekliyos of the Sari, she used to sell her braids of hair, v'yavale, and give them to Rabbi Akiva, who Loiva writes in order they should be able to learn Torah. Okay, so in any event, it seems that at some time they allowed them to go back to put on the Torah Shulchan, because otherwise, the Gemara is I think going to discuss someday, because otherwise Rabbi Akiva's wife would have no right to wear it, right? So obviously they were more lenient by the cows than by the Chasanim. Says the Gemara, shows Rabbi Shul, asks Rabbi Shul, Ma'u Shlam, and he told them, is Beno Yevanitz, can a person teach his son Greek? So he says a very famous quote, at a time which is not day, not night. The Chesiv, it says, V'yigates a bow, you should toil in it, in Teiro, Yemon V'layla. So ask tomorrow, if that's the case, Mi'ato, top of Memba and base, also Lamis Melunut should be forbidden to teach your son a craft, begin to see V'yigates a bow, Yom V'layla, because it says you should learn day and night. V'atani, didn't we learn, Rabbi Shmuel says, V'achata b'chaim, Zu umnus, this is censored out of most yeshivas Gemaras. But it says, you should choose life, that's a trade. Baruch Hashem, I haven't learned this till now it's too late. But in any event, the idea is, I asked when I was in Baltimore, I asked the mashgiach there, I said, listen, I have to go to college. Should I take a college course which is useful? Or should I take, and so I have something to fall back on? Or should I take something which is useless from a Parnasa perspective, but it does interest me? And, I don't want to have something to fall back on. He said, no, don't take something you can fall back on, because if you have something to fall back on, you will fall back. And therefore, I have a master's degree in guidance and counseling. Okay, says more further.
This shot isn't in the Bavli?
It is. It's in Kiddush, not in Sotah. Rabbi Chia Rabbi Yochanan said, Mivnei HaMesuros. That's okay, you can't teach Greek. The reason I can't teach Greek is because people use it to maser, in order to tell the government what people did wrong. Give away people like the guy who's got 845 years in prison. We don't want you to give him away to the government, so therefore we don't want you to be able to speak English. It's interesting. There's been a big machlokes Bavli and Yerushalmi. The Bavli holds a knowledge to teach your kid Chochma Yavanis. And Chochma Yavanis is either Greek philosophy or Pashup Pshat in the Gemara seems to be it's not Greek philosophy, but some wacky cipher way of talking or communicating which only certain people knew, and it could cause people to become very close in cahoots, with all sorts of undesirable elements of the Roman government. So therefore, you're not supposed to teach, or a Greek government, the Roman government, so therefore you're not supposed to teach it to your kids. But the Yerushalmi holds it's the Greek language itself. not some obscure cipher, or not philosophy, but the Greek language, because we're afraid if you get buddy-buddy with the people, you're going to master. And the Shari Teretz Yisrael brings down from Josephus, that Josephus writes that learning foreign languages was considered to be a not good thing by Jews. The fascinating concept. They wouldn't learn foreign languages. I told you about the mice with me and the Rebbe in Far Rockaway. I probably haven't told recently, and you probably forgot it, but when we first put out, when I was in Far Rockaway, we put out a Torah journal in English. So it was, well, we thought, at least at the time, was in good quality English. I brought it to this Rebbe, a local Rebbe in Far Rockaway. I forget what his name was, but it's a nice man. And we showed it to him. He said, "It's very nice, except I have a tine on you. Why'd you put it out in English? And if you have to put it out in English, at least put it out in a zubrochene English, zu sein anders wie de Goyim." And I had never heard that perspective before. It was like a revelation to me. I always thought the reason Chassidim don't speak English is because they can't, but they would love to if they could. No, but that's not the pshat. The pshat is like this Gemara, according to the way Josephus learned, right? We don't want to speak a good English. And it's considered to be a negative thing to speak like the king's English or the queen's English. So therefore, it's bedafka better to avoid it, and that seems to be the thrust of our Gemara. Nevertheless, also very famous. I don't remember this is actually in the Bavli. I should have looked it up more carefully. But this is very famous. Rav Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, "Mutar l'adam l'lamed is bito yivani." It's allowed to teach her daughter Greek. Neshu tachshitu law, because it's like a jewel. It's like a refined thing. Like in later generations, girls would learn how to play piano. Because it was like a refinement. So it's a refinement for your daughter to be able to speak Greek.
It's a bottom line.
Says the Gemara, Shamashim Barba V'Amar. Yisubashim Barba here, he said, Amar Baloni. It's amazing statement to be actually put in the Gemara. Begin to Rabbi Avo, boy, male Barte. Because he wants to teach his own daughter Greek, who told Rabbi Yochanan. He claims Rabbi Yochanan said it. Hagwash. Yavo lie may troubles you for me, it's an oath. Im, and the Pnei Moshe takes out the next word, Im shmatiyam Rabbi Yochanan. If I heard it from Rabbi Yochanan never said such a thing, that daughters have a different standard than boys. Okay. Says the Gemara back to the Mishnah. Mi matir sarishonos. Now this is talking about, as I told you, Rabbi Akiva obviously made an Yerushalmi for his wife. It was after the Churban. Who allowed this? Rabbi Yisrael said, Mishum matirs elu matirs elu. When they were matir, the Toros, the Rabbi say were matir, it said last line in the Mishnah, Shetetze kala b'apriyom b'socha here. They allowed a cow to call with a apriyom, this ornate dancer in the city. They also allowed her also to wear an atorah, meaning this ear shows off like Rabbi Akiva made his wife. Says the Gemara, Ke'ator Reish Galusa. This is similar to that which is Reish Galusa, but actually this is a new statement, separate statement, which teaches us why they made a gzera against Atorah's Chasanim when the Beis Mikdash was destroyed. Kadah, it's following, learned out from here, Reish Galusa, Shah, Rabbi Chisdai, Reish Galusa, went, sent them questions to Rabbi Chisdai. Ma'odin, what else that which it says? You'll see, Hashem said, Haser mitznefes, remove the hat, V'arei ma'atorah, and take off the crown. Amarlei, so he said, the Rabbi Chisda answered, Husra mitznefes, when the mitznefes of the Kohen is taken away, Hur ma'atorah, you take that Torahs after Chasadim as well. Shom Rabbi Yochanan holds Rabbi Chisda's drush, and said, Bomar, Hu Chesed, his name is Chesed, Umiloy Chesed, and his words are good words as well. He gave me a shekayah. So there's drasha that the mitznefes and Torah are linked to each other, and that's why they made a takana once the basement is destroyed, not to have Torah's chasanim anymore.
Bob, we also say that they can't play musical instruments in Yerushalayim after the Churban?
No, that's only a minute. It's not brought down anymore. We had before not to play a tambourine.
Yeah,
a specific time.
Yeah. In the Gemara in Bobby?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just a minute, as far as I know. Not playing Yerushalayim is only a minute. I'm pretty sure about that. Okay. So as more for the mission for the Mishmesh Rabbi Yochanan Zakir, what's Rabbi Yochanan Zakir died, Batel Ziva Chachma. The radiance of wisdom no longer exists. Because Rabbi Yochanan Zakir, it says he knew everything. He was such a brilliant man. Mishmesh Gamliel Batel covered that there is no more glory of eternity anymore. He obviously had, he was the one, who got into fights all the time, but he was dignified, right? Mishum Mesa Tara, and also there died along with that Tara, purity, Uprishus, and asceticism. Mishum Mesa Yeshua ben Pabai, Batal Ziva Kuna, the radiance of Kuna was gone. Mishmeis Rebbe Batal Anava V'Yiraschei. Somehow the Talmud of Rebbe put this into the Mishnah, because Rebbe redacted the Mishnah, right? But you see Rebbe's Talmud and got into the Mishnah, Batal Anava V'Yiraschei, it no longer is modern humility and fear of sin. Mishnah Yisrael, one time died, Batal Moshe Mishnah, people could tell good parables died. Mishmeis Rebbe Batal Dashanim, and Paska Dashanim, Rebbe Akiva Dashan, the target. Mishemeis ben Hazai Pascha Shaktam, they're no longer diligent people. Mishemeis ben Zal Pascha Tamid, they're no longer exemplary students anymore. Mishemeis Abishua Pascha Tamid, there's no more good in the world. Mishemeis Abishua Pascha Tamid, they're no more rich Chachamim. Mishemeis Gamliel, one of Gamliel died, the second one of Gamliel. Actually, Gamliel Zakin is not the one who got into fights. It's the second one Gamliel did, I'm sorry. His grandson. But goodbye, there came, locust. Rav Tzaras, and there are many travails. B'shvei Sarachim B'dais Yosef ben Tinusa, Pascha Chasidus stopped. No people no longer pious. Avalom Nikol Shmo Yosef ben Tinusa. Why is it called Yosef ben Tinusa? The small one. Shoisa Tamtisa. He was the essence Shel Chasidim of all Chasidim. Now there are a couple of gears that changes in the Bible. The Bible says here, people can make miracles by, because he's the one who told the oil, the vinegar to burn instead of the oil. And it says, instead of Tamtiz Shel Chasidim, he was the Katnusa Shel Chasidim, the last one. Now here the Mishnah continues. In the Bible, actually, in the Vilna Shas, it makes clear that the rest of this is not a Mishnah, but a Brisa. And it's in the Gemara, but here it seems to be part of the Mishnah as well. The base is destroyed. Boshu Chaverim, Tamir Chacham are now embarrassed because people don't give proper respect. Even free people are embarrassed. The Chop Urosham, their heads are hung low. There aren't that many people who do good deeds anymore. And tough people are in charge, like Chicago. The people who speak Lashon Hara. There's nobody who seeks the good of Am Yisrael. There's nobody to ask upon them. There's nobody who to ask the Goyim to do good things to us. Who we trust or rely upon? Only a Kodesh Baruch Hu in heaven. The base destroyed. Everybody went down a notch. The sages, the Mevic became like scribes. The Safraya, the scribes, the Chazara, like the lay leadership. The Chazara and the lay leadership, Kamodara, like the Amaratim. For Amodara, as of a doubtful, they're getting lower and lower. Vein Shor is nobody who asks. Vein Vacation will be the quest. Who can rely on Avin Shemshayim, only on Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because of Mashiach, when the footfalls of Mashiach will be heard, Chutz Beyaskeh. The people who are mahaner in these things, who bring Mashiach, there'll be a lot of chutzpah. For Yoikiyami, a lot of expensive gasoline. Hagev and Tite Imperial. There will be lots of great fines. Vayayim be okay, but they'll be charging outrageous prices for the wine. For Malchus Kumaz, and the kingship of the Goyim, Tapich Leminas will become all minas, which usually is euphemism for Christian. And there's no rebuke, nobody to rebuke, because everybody's afraid to rebuke. People brand him as a hypocrite, besides what it says here. Beis Avad, the house of Chachamim, was nus, there'll be all sorts of licentious behavior, and unfortunately we see that today. That people are involved in licentious behavior, even in yeshivas, V'agol yicharev, and the goal will be destroyed. V'agavlan yashum, a certain place called Gavlan will be desolate. V'anchikul, people who live on the frontier, Yisov Miyeliyah will go from city to city. V'lo yichonano, they will not receive grace, people will not have mercy on them. V'chacham asor from this rock, the wisdom of the sages will become repulsive to people. Most of the people who fear sin will be rejected by people. And there's a lack of truth. Nori Pnei Zakenim Albino, the young ones will mock the old ones. Zakenim Yandiv Nektan, the old ones will have to stand before the young ones. Ben Menabel of, a son will do disgusting things to his father. Bas Kamabima, a daughter will rebel against her mother. Kal Chamos, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Oiveish, the enemies of the person, Andre Besa will be the members of his household, meaning his wife and kids. Pnei Ador, the face of generation, Pnei Akev is like the face of a dog, which is brazen. Habenim is Bayish Meovid. A child not be embarrassed from his father. What do we have to rely on? Only on our Father in heaven. Mishmeis Rabbi Elazar, all the rest of the world is really not in the Bible either, the rest of the Masechta. Mishmeis Rabbi Elazar, the book of wisdom was put into Gnizah because Rabbi Elazar knew all the halachas he got from his Rabbeim, and therefore he, when he died, a lot of that went with him. Mishmeis Rabbi Elazar died post-Greitzes Tevis, and long was good counsel, Machshavas Tovas, and good thoughts in Israel. Mishmeis Rabbi Gilbas, the well springs of wisdom are closed. Mishmeis Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Pasakosh Me'achamim, there was no more wealth in Me'achamim. Mishmeis Rabbi Yossi Paska Bina, says Rabbi Yossi always Nimuko Imo, he was a good thinker. Once Rabbi Yossi died, there's no more understanding. Mishmeis ben Azariah Pasakosh Me'achamim, there are no more Zilju people. Mishmeis ben Zon, when Ben Zon Matai Paska Der Shine, there's nobody to expound. The Mishnah said Rabbi Kiva's a Darshim here, changed it slightly. Mishmeis Rabbi Chir Badoisa, here it's like the Bavli. Paska Achemais, the people did miracles ceased. Mishmeis Rabbi Yossi Chasida, Rabbi Yossi Katnosa, when they died, Paska Achemais, so no money pious people. But Lomani called Katnusa, why is it called the small? Shatam Tziso, because he was the essence, the concentrate. Showed tzaddikim v'shal chassidim, both tzaddikim and chassidim. Mishmeis Rabbi Gamliel, here it says Gamliel, it said Rabbi Gamliel in the Mishnah. Boguvai, there were those locusts from the Tzorsa and many travails. Mishmeis Rabbi, when Rabbi died, Tzorsa, they were double the travails. Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Shimon Levi said, Rabbi Yochanan Tzaddik being Midomich. There's a similar mice and brachas in the Bavli. Rabbi Yochanan Tzaddik, when he was dying, Pakid Vamar, he commanded, said, Panu Chatzerim Ne'atuma, remove all the kelim in the chatzer that might become tummy when I die. Viskinu Kisei Chizkiah Melch Yudah, and prepare a chair for Chizkiah, the king of Yudah, come to accompany me. Rabbi Lezer Talmidei, Rabbi Lezer Sundar, Rabbi Yochanan Zakeh, Midam, when he was dying, Pakid Vamar, he said, also Panu Chatzerim Ne'atuma, empty the courtyard of Tuma. Viskinu Kisei, make a chair, Rabbi Yochanan Zakeh, who's coming to accompany me to Olam Emes. These times, some say, nah, it wasn't Yochanan Zakeh, man, the Chami Rabbi, Chama. Whoever's Rebbe saw, he saw too. In other words, it's not, he was just being humble, but his kill also came to him as well. Chami Elin, the base Pazi, a certain individual from the house of Pazi, who was not identified here for some strange reason. Have a boy mechatnei. They wanted to marry him off, to set up a shidduch for him, L'Nisyusei, to the Nasi's house. Love and Maccabi wouldn't accept it. Omri said, Lo yavam be'atun, they shouldn't frighten me. I'm from a lower station. I don't want to marry up that much. Midamich, when this person died, he was also on a high madrega, wherever he was. Paki v'amar, he said, Panu chatzerim ne'atuma, empty the courtyards of Tuma. V'etzkinu ki said, Yoshafat melech Yehuda, bring a chair for Yoshafat, king of Yehuda. Why Yoshafat? Omri, they said, Yovel zeh sharatzach har kavod, the person who pursued kavod, Yoshafat should come, achar zeh shabarach min ha-kavod, for this person who ran away from covenant and wouldn't marry the Nasi's house. So two pshatim that one is Lignai, that Yoshafat ran for Achav's honor, and he married into the family of Achav, or married his kid to the family of Achav, something like that. And the other is Lishvach, that he was Mechabi Tamid Chachamim. When Elisha came to test to prophecy for them, for Menachem, he was very much Mechabi them. So in any event, the second shot is more likely that this guy Ben Pasi, the house of Ben Pasi, fled from covenant, and every Yoshafat who gave proper covenant, then the Chachamim came to accompany him. Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi Shimon Levi said, Ma'aser, which we had before, Ma'aser Shnich Nasus Kenem L'Aliyah Beitz Gad Yibricho. They went there. The Yotze Baskov Orma and the Baskov women said, Yesh B'nechem Shnayim Ruach Kodesh, the two be among you, a Subu Ruach Kodesh. One of them is Hillel. And the rest of them looked at Shmuel Kodesh and assumed that he was the second one. Many years later, as we learned before, Nichnasus came, Aliyah, they came to the second floor of Yavne, The other Basko Varmer Lam Basko came out said them, Yesh Benechem Shnaim Ruach Kodesh, two of you are Ruach Kodesh, Ushmuel Katan Echem, one of them Shmuel Katan, who's the other one? V'nos the way name Eliyahu Reb Elazar, because they assume the other one is Reb Elazar ben Hukas. Be that as it may, for you smechem they rejoice, Sheskima Daiton Ladas Hamokom, that they had figured out the first one, and that they been dreaming that Shmuel was the one who was worthy. Hadron Allah Perka Rufa Slicha Mesachet Sotah. Tomorrow night, Mitzvah Hashem, we start in the dark. I did bring, I don't know if you're interested, but I did bring some Swiss club cookies, which is one of the great delicacies the world knows, in order to celebrate the occasion. You're not mukhliv to have them. There's certain things which take priority over marathon.